I'm Nyakio Grieco, the co-founder of 13 Lune and founder of Relevant Your Skin Scene, and I am a sister with superpowers. You can follow me at Nyakio, Nyakio, at 13 Lune and at Relevant Skin.
All right. Hello, everyone. This is C. Alexandra with Rolling Out. Super excited. I have a special guest today who is a sister with superpowers. She goes by Nyakio Grieco. She is a beauty entrepreneur and advocate for all skin types and things of that nature. So looking forward to speaking with her today. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we are super excited to talk to you and just learn more about your journey in the beauty industry. So first, just tell us really quick, like, where are you from and how did you get started? Like, when did you know the beauty industry was for you or that you wanted to be an entrepreneur in the beauty industry?
Great. Yeah. So I'm a first generation American of Kenyan descent. I was born in New York and raised in Oklahoma. I now live out in Los Angeles. And when I was 8 years old, my parents took me to Kenya for the first time. And that's where I met my grandmother, Nyakio. And she was a Kenyan coffee farmer. So she would take me out on the farm at the end of the day and we would gather coffee beans and we would mix oils from her kitchen and we would grind it all together and then use rods of sugarcane to exfoliate our skin. So I always say that's where my beauty journey began. And my grandfather was a medicine man and I never got the chance to meet him before he passed away. But growing up here in the States, my mom would always use his beauty rituals, using cold pressed oils to treat my hair, to treat my skin. And so, you know, that was definitely part of my DNA. I always say that clean beauty was not a trend for me. It was all I ever kind of knew. And then when I graduated from college, I moved out to Los Angeles and I actually started working in Hollywood. What I found that I loved the most was working with actresses. And, you know, when you work with actresses, you get a lot of products that come across your desk. And, you know, this was years ago in my 20s. And I found that there were so many beautiful products representing so many cultures, but nobody was really in the field of premium skincare talking about Africa and talking about the sophistication of Africa and how so many of the beauty rituals and ingredients that we use across all beauty brands stem from Africa or marginalized parts of the world. And so I was 27 and I decided to quit my job. And the very first product I ever made was my grandmother's coffee scrub. And so that's how I launched my first brand, Nyakio Beauty. And then over the years, you know, had many stops and starts and challenges, but I also had many wins. You know, I got to learn what it meant to launch international retail. I got to learn what it meant to have a business that was acquired. I got to learn how to raise money, despite how challenging it can be for us. And so very grateful for those lessons. But it was really in 2020, Nyakio had been bought by Unilever. I was still working with the brand at the time. And then all of a sudden, after 18 years of being a beauty founder, after the murder of George Floyd and so many others, I found myself on all of these lists, you know, top Black owned to shop and to follow. And I was observing Nyakio sales going up at Target and receiving more attention and more recognition than I ever had in 18 years, which was kind and a blessing, but it was also built on the precipice of this like heartbreaking, horrible time in our lives. And to be honest, I wasn't really concerned with beauty sales. I was concerned with how we were all going to stay alive, not only from a global pandemic standpoint, but also from the greatest, most heightened moment of systemic racism in our lifetime. And I started to observe that, you know, beautiful pledges were happening, like the 15% pledge and pull up for change. But it wasn't adding up for me. How in the world can I be on a list of 500 brands, but it's hard to get to 13 on shelf or 10 on shelf. And so then I decided to co-create with my dear friend, the beauty retailer I wished I always had. And that was how 13 Lune was born over a really deep and teary conversation in June 2020 to then launch the platform in December of 2020.
And that's amazing. That is definitely a story. And I'm here for it because, you know, yeah, the pandemic was a really trying time. And I think a lot of people didn't know how to pivot, especially as an entrepreneur and things of that nature. But shout out to you for having a vision. And now, you know, now look where it's at. So amazing. Now, I know you also have your brand, Your Skin Scene.
Yeah,
And
relevant your skin scene. Yeah.
yes, relevant your skin scene. And just tell us, like, I guess, to touch on the story that you kind of just shared, the importance of being inclusive in the beauty industry and, just sharing all skin types and things of that nature. Because everyone wants to feel included, right? Especially
Right.
as, us as Black women. So can you share more about your passion around that?
Yes, yeah. And I love that you use the word passion, creating 13 Loon, which is the first of its kind, truly inclusive beauty retail platform. The retailer I always wished I had. At the heart of it is inclusion and diversity. We all know what it's like to feel left out at shelf and to feel left out of the conversations, to feel left out of the opportunity to sell into a major retailer. And so we adopted our own pledge, which we call our 90-10 rule. And so 90% of all the brands we carry are created by people of color from around the globe who create products for everyone. I saw it as a real opportunity to debunk the myth that we only make products for ourselves. The only way that we will truly build generational wealth is if not just circulating our own Black and brown dollars, which is important, but it's having people who are true allies shopping our brands as well, just like we shop a lot of brands that are not Black or brown owned and have helped make this industry a multi-billion-dollar industry. So 90% BIPOC owned, and then 10% dedicated to fostering allyship. Beauty is universal. It's a way to connect people. It's steeped in storytelling, ritual, history. As I said before, most of the ingredients and that are used across all beauty brands are cultivated from places like Africa and South Asia and East Asia. And so South America, most of those beauty rituals are adopted from these cultures. And so we wanted to create a space of discovery. A lot of the brands, we launched with 13 BIPOC brands when we launched in December 2020. 26 months later, we have over 170 brands. And, 60 days after we launched, we got a call from JCPenney, which we always knew we were going to be omni-channel and eventually open stores. We definitely didn't think it would be 60 days after we launched the brand, but what an opportunity to now bring these brands that had never otherwise had the opportunity to launch into national retail into our now almost 613 Loon at JCPenney stores. And, inclusion and diversity is so crucial across all industries. But, specifically in beauty, it's an opportunity to build generational wealth. It's an opportunity to inspire the next generation of beauty founders to know they can do it too. I truly believe that when we truly obtain generational wealth and do it soon, that we will be able to help alleviate systemic racism. We have to make the most money so that we make the rules and we make the laws, and that's how it works. And so I'm just really happy to be in an industry that makes a lot of money, but to be giving the opportunity to founders to have their piece of the pie, and for consumers to visit shelf and better receive and be honored at shelf because they see themselves reflected. And with Relevant Your Skin Scene, it's really just this culmination of my 21 years of beauty experience. Starting Nyakio Beauty, I was shipping and receiving customer service. I had no idea what the stats were back in 2002 when I launched, when it came to venture funding and private equity. I just knew at that point I didn't get a lot of phone calls or emails back. So I had to get really, really creative in ways to raise money for that brand. With Relevant Your Skin Scene, it's the first time that I, at almost 50 years old, have had the opportunity to create the brand of my dreams, to have the runway, to have the capital, to have the support, to have the shelf space to bring it to. And so, it's just a example of, when you bet on us and you invest in us, you really truly help our dreams come true, and you help us deliver amazing, efficacious product for all skin tones to shelf, as they deserve to be.
I love that so much. Yes, I love how you said that, it's okay to be allies with, like our counterparts. Like, it doesn't have to be like, oh, these products are just for us. I think that's amazing that you're still circulating dollars in the Black and brown community, but also not being, I guess, excluding people, because then that defeats the whole purpose, right?
Or even
Shout out
like,
to you.
yeah, I love I love businesses that are about circulating our dollars. I think that they are so crucial, but I also believe there is a lot of dollars in the world that deserve to come our way too, even if it's people that don't look like us, right? And really the proof is in the pudding, and the way that we have grown and the amount, and I also think what we also are providing is a way to make your beauty shopping more meaningful. Like, not only are you getting amazing products, but you're getting products that are really helping to build generational wealth and change the lives of these founders, and everybody can participate in that. And that's what I think. And then, also when I speak about allyship, one of our first ally brands was Goop. And Gwyneth Paltrow had been an ally of mine long before 13 Lune, when she launched Nyakio at Goop, and, was always there to offer me advice when I was building my business, when I was getting frustrated. When I started 13 Lune, she was one of the first people I called to say, how do you do this? How do you do an online platform that's really steeped in editorial, where we can really do storytelling? Because she had done such a great job with that at Goop. And then when it came time for us to do our friends and family raise, she was one of our first checks to invest in the company. And so that is what allyship is. It's really helping one another to see, our dreams realized, to grow substantial businesses so that we can really impact change.
I love it. Well said. Well, I definitely can tell that you have been in the industry for a while, because you've done your research. And I think a lot of, you can tell where people are different when they're in different stages, I guess, of their entrepreneurship or their career entrepreneurs, because you can tell how much they've done market research. So shout out to you.
Thank you. A lot of
I'm learning things. So thank you.
Yeah. Oh, no, thank you so much. I really, I received that, and thank you. I am, but I also, like, so much of my research came from epic mistakes. And I'm just happy that, while all founders will make their own mistakes, that a lot of the founders that I work with now that are part of the 13 Lune family won't make the mistakes that I did, because I share them and I share my key learnings, and I learn from people's mistakes, and I learn in allyship with other Black and brown people in this industry that have really mentored me. I think that's one of the best things, is asking for help and asking people to share their stories, because, creating platforms like you have, it's so important that we share the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that we can help others to avoid those mistakes and get to success much quicker.
I love it. Now I want to shift gears here a little bit. So I think one thing that stood out to me the most is that your ingredients involve superfruits. And I think that's so cool, because I know you said in the beginning, like, you were used to kind of like organic products, but I know you it's like research based, obviously. So, and clinically based, excuse me. So can you just tell us more? Obviously, you can't tell us the ingredients all the way, but can you just share more about that journey and what made you want to kind of go that route when it came to skincare?
Yeah. So skincare is obviously at the heart of a lot of what I do. And, having Nyakio Beauty, there were certain limitations that I had, even when I was part of, big portfolios or large companies, when the brand sort of was in many places. I never had access to the capital that bigger brands did, where I could really do what I wanted to do when it came to science-backed formulas. In Relevant, I'm still inspired by my grandparents in this next iteration and next chapter. And so that's why I involve things like superfruits and cold pressed oils and all of these ingredients that come from nature. But when I talked about having the runway and the support and finally the capital and ability to create what I want, the first thing I did was run right into the arms of two amazing chemists, because finally I was going to get to work with actives at efficacious levels that would deliver results. And I hired two Black independent chemists. These products are melanin safe. I think sometimes when people hear the word melanin, they just assume it means Black or brown, but newsflash, everybody has melanin. And so, I really wanted to make an inclusive brand that was great for all skin tones, but I wanted to start with the most melanin rich skin first, because we often deal with the most when it comes to eczema, rosacea, hyperpigmentation. I wanted to be able to tackle these issues. And also, obviously, number one issue in skincare is dry skin concern, is dry skin, making these deeply hydrating, efficacious, with amazing actives at levels that are safe. I loved, perusing beauty aisles pretty much my whole life. But I would find, especially as I started to learn more and more about ingredients, that I would pick up the peel that all the magazines were talking about, and I would flip that box over, and no, under no circumstances could that go on my face because of the levels of certain acids. And I suffer from hyperpigmentation and hypopigmentation and eczema. And so I have to be very, very careful about what I put on my skin. But I don't want to be left out. I want to be able to use a peel. I want to be able to slough off my dry skin with a chemical peel. And so that's what I did, is I went to these two amazing Black chemists who, by the way, had never been promoted, made some of the most incredible ingredient products on the market, some of the most award-winning products on the market. And they had never been promoted to lead chemists in any of their jobs. And so I met them when they were independent in 2020, and we started developing Relevant. And I said, I want to go the distance. I want to be able to have the most efficacious formulas that people who look like me and beyond will be able to have the best results, and do it in a melanin safe way, do it with real science-backed formulas and peptides and all the things. So it really is this culmination of my love of clean and natural ingredients that come from the earth, married with my like nerdy side of loving science so much and doing it with people that I trust. And, fun fact, both of these chemists went into a lab, got new jobs after the pandemic, or, sort of at the tail end of the pandemic. And their first PO that they brought to that lab was Relevant. And they are now both the lead chemists of this lab. And so it really is, it goes to circulating that support for one another, which I think is crucial, especially because we're fighting for this little slice of the pie as Black and Brown founders. And it's important that we support each other in that slice.
Yes, I love that so much. That is like a full circle moment. And you kind of you paved the way and kind of paid it forward. So shout out.
And ingredients, I have a 5-acid toner, a resurfacing solution that's done at active levels that you will literally glow like a light bulb, but it's done at levels that are safe, that will not harm the skin. I have a vitamin C serum that's the most stable vitamin C on the market. I have a cleansing balm because I love to double cleanse with my cleansing serum, all with these amazing, earth-backed ingredients as well as science-backed ingredients, and an eye cream that has an Actitite technology so that it literally tightens the skin while also hydrating and helping to minimize fine lines and wrinkles and minimize dark circles. And so that part's been the most fun to me. It's something that I always wished I could do, was work with these incredible ingredients, and now have the opportunity to do it. And more people should.
I love that so much. And, you are a sister with superpowers. I want to make sure we get, ask you these questions as well. What do you feel like makes you a sister with superpowers? Excuse me.
Oh my gosh. I think what makes me a sister with superpowers, couple things. I think I'm a good listener, and that helps you be a better learner. I'm a storyteller. I love sharing stories. I'm a mentor who also has great mentors. Always look for the helpers. And I think very collaboratively. For the longest time, I felt, especially in premium skincare as a Black woman in the early 2000s till, the last couple of years of my job with Nyakio, I felt like the only at shelf. And so I think my love of collaboration is also what led me to creating 13 Lune, that, I didn't know these brands existed until I saw them on these lists. And now I have all of these amazing human beings that I'm surrounded by. And I think my desire to collaborate is one of my superpowers.
I love that. You already answered the second question. But yes, I love how you, you also thought of others, like not just your beauty brand, but you're like, hey, let me help y'all out too. So gotta have that. I always say that's like a bridger, like someone that helps others. I think that's really amazing. Do you have a specific role model that you kind of look up to, or that has inspired you to get to this point today?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of role models, a lot of people that I look up to, but my mom, I think, is my greatest role model. She is such an amazing human being. She has worked her tail off my entire life and really helped instill both her and my dad, but my work ethic. My parents came to this country. They're both Kenyan, but they didn't know each other. They met in this country and they came here to go to school and chose to stay here to provide a better life for my brother and I. And they're, my mom is a role model. I see it with her girlfriends. I see it with her with my friends and my kids, my husband. She just wants everybody to win in life. And so I think I got a lot of that from her.
I can tell. Very sweet. And I love your humility, but I can tell you have a big heart. But last thing, can you tell us, or how important is it for Black women to be in leadership? And can you also leave us a Women's History Month message?
Yeah. How it's of the utmost importance. We are the fastest growing segment of entrepreneurs. Some of the biggest C-suite roles belong to Black women. It's crucial. I talk about it all the time, the power of women. And when women come together, that's when change happens. And honestly, if you are a large legacy company that has never prioritized women, never prioritized people of color, good luck in 15 to 20 years when the world all looks like my biracial children, right? You have to start speaking to us now. You have to start elevating us now. And so I think it's the most important thing. And, I'm a woman, so I'm biased, but I do think that we are superheroes. And I do think that we have the power to implement change and nurture growth in a way that others don't.
Well said. This has been such an inspiring conversation. I know whoever watches this will also be inspired and educated.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for coming by Rolling Out.
Oh my gosh, thanks for having me. This is so much fun.